So let's now talk about the compass. The compass, the Erdology compass, is a different way to illustrate and organize the structures and fundamentals of what Erdology is. Each of those generations, each of those sequences, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, 15, 80, 90, 1,000, a million, each one of those numbers converts to a letter. Each one of those letters, you then look for repeat patterns in the letters. And repeat patterns in the letters produce words. What those words are is what Erdology is about. Part of this process is to build the dictionary of time. Time has a language. This science is about, Erdology is about finding out what those patterns are, converting those patterns to variables, converting those variables to specific letter sequences, number sequences, then converting those number sequences to letter sequences, and then finding out the repeat patterns within the letter sequences. And then building the dictionary from those patterns, and then building an encyclopedia from the larger, more intense patterns, word patterns, which, words become sentences, sentences become paragraphs, paragraphs become chapters, chapters become books, library shelf, book sequences, bookshelves, book cases, wings introduce the Dewey Decimal System, and you have different subject per wing. You have entire buildings dedicated to various assorted subjects. You have entire areas. You have entire building sequences dedicated to getting more and more and more specific about any one given specific topic. The library at Constantinople was several city block large, and there was a couple dozen buildings involved. Each one of them had several stories. Each one of those stories covered something specific. The library at Alexandria was similar to that and about the same size. But you have an infinitely larger number of letters to find the patterns and sequences in, and that's just of this planet alone. In a given area, in a given sequence of locations, you have sequences of locations from the millimeter on the center of my body outward is a compass, is a 360 degree compass. Now, due north, mark that as F. That's because in the Fluid Arc sequence, A, B, C, D, that's the alphabet, which alphabet did not exist until about 280 BC, somewhere in that direction. This is a language that is millennia older than that by several. You have F, due north. That's fixed point. First rule of mathematics, fixed point. F is the due north is fixed point. So you have due north, and then you count 15 degrees, and that's the F wedge. You count 15 more degrees, and that's the U wedge. The character of U. It also stands for 2. That's the second character. 15 more degrees clockwise, and you have TH. 15 more degrees, and you have A. 15 more degrees, you have R. 15 more degrees, and you have K. So you have sequential after sequential after sequential information. It forms into a circle. Right in this room, the compass in this room is only so big, because this room is only so big. The compass of this apartment is larger, but from where I'm sitting right now to the rest of the apartment, everything, every millimeter, every micrometer in this apartment, in this place, has the sub-wedges are divided into 15. So you have major wedge, F, from the center out to the end of the compass. You measure 15 degrees out. Take 360 and divide it by 24 makes 15 degrees. That first wedge, you have a character. That's, say it's F. Well, you have F is up. And then inside that, you have sub-wedge, 15 of them. So say it's right there, sub-wedge. So you have F, and then you have whatever number, say it's 4. So that's F and A. Then you have, so everything in this line will be F and A. F and A, and then go deeper into a smaller wedge, and you have another character that is very small. But everything in that line is F, A, and then down further would be maybe the fifth one, the fifth line. So that would be FAR. The smaller you go, the more the smaller and smaller wedges you go, the more defined the letter sequences are, up until you are at a quark level. The wedge is so small that only a quark can fit into that small wedge. Well, that's a sequence of maybe 20 characters. So you have 20 characters. That everything in this line will be 20 characters. You add that line of 20 characters to its age, to the age of the room, the building, of the complex, this section of town, a larger section of town, a larger section of town, up until the town itself. And then if it's a metro, if it's it's several cities and several towns put together, then you have the metro area, then you have the county, then you have the state, you have the region, you have the country, you have the hemisphere, so on. There's several boundary areas to the compass, to the layers of compasses. Now each one of those compasses has its own sub-wedges to it, which means you could have thousands of, from the planet down to the quark, you could have a sequence of 1,000 letters. That 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 letters will have repeat patterns in them. There will be repeat patterns in those thousands and thousands of letters. Put those thousands of letters connected to other things. For instance, where I used to live is about 3,500 miles away from here. Well, where that wedge is those compasses, from the place where I sat to the place where I lived most of my time in that area, to the apartment, to the building, to the complex, farther and farther and farther out. Those compasses are measured differently. The same subjects from small up, but it's differently. But all those compasses, all the wedges, sub-wedges, and down to the quark level, all the numbers involved there. How long I lived there, how long ago was the place built, so on. That was about the 40th place that I'd lived in my life. So I've lived in, say, 45 different locations in my life. Well, that 45 converts to U and B. Those letters together collect together and make very, very large letter sequences. The more letter sequences you have, the more you're able to create word sequences. You're able to create a dictionary with translations and be able to understand what is being said, what your language of time says. What is your language of time? How does time? What do you do with time? How do your motions with time say something?